Good evening, viewers, and welcome to TV Africa. Today we have a special interview with the new Gamanche, King Tackie Tawiah III. King Tackie Tawiah III is the 27th king of the Ghana since the reign of Ni Ayikushi in the 15th century. King Tackie Tawiah has granted TV Africa his first interview since his installation as Gamanche. May we congratulate you on your installment and coronation.
Thank you very much.
How do you manage the controversies that have existed since your installation and coronation till now?
We do not have a monarchical system where being born to the existing monarch guarantees you right of succession. We do it from different houses according to the tradition, of course. In the Ashanti tradition, we know that the royals come from one source, and therefore it takes the Queen Mother of Ashanti to determine who is going to be the Asantehene. In our case, the Gamanche is selected in rotation from 3 different houses, and when it is the turn of a particular house, it is up to the kingmakers of the house to select from among the royals those who are born to the stool bearers and who are successors to previous monarchs, so that a particular person can be identified, screened, vetted, and then nominated for installation as Gamanche. The process of that selection, of course, is also based on consultations. I am now aware of the fact that before I was installed, a lot of consultations took place. I think those who selected me consulted the Ghana Traditional Council to find out what the expectations were. I'm also informed that some of the elders of society were approached to give guidance as to what they may deem a suitable standing, qualification, and background for a Gamanche. And all these informed in the decision which was made to select the Gamanche. I'm enormously privileged to have been the one who was selected. The reason the process cannot be an easy one is because you do not have one person to say, I identify as a possible candidate for the stool. I'm sure in our case, we had more than half a dozen people of equal standing. And therefore, when one is chosen against the others, naturally, there will be disaffection, there will be clamoring, there would be various utterances to justify one's denial or one's promotion, or shall I say, election and installation. And this is precisely what has happened. Some have taken cases to court or the tribunal of the Regional House of Chiefs to claim variously that I'm not suitable, I wasn't properly installed, and a number of different displeasurable remarks and statements and so on. But I am infinitely confident that at the end of it all, the Regional House of Chiefs will determine from their own background of tradition and our culture as to whether or not I was properly installed. But I am confident that they followed the norms in installing me as Gamanche.
Yes. Yes. I don't think any Ghana king has had a lot of cases in court, in the traditional court, as you have.
Well, that's not true. That's entirely not true. History informs us that my great-grandfather, Tackie Tawiah I, had a rollicking time being made a chief. In fact, it was so hectic for him that he left the Ghana state for a period of 4 years to go into hibernation and to restructure his thinking as to the type of chief he intended to be. And in the process, he built a vast army which aided him in his conquest and his fightings and warrings. And as we do know, he was the warrior king of the Ghana state. So he is the one I can relate to more directly. But I'm sure there are others who had similar difficulties. Indeed, even if you go to the National House of Chiefs, you would find that they have a tribunal for cases against sitting chiefs. And therefore, the process of adjudicating cases is not novel, and there is nothing unique about it. It's a commonplace thing, and it is the way we settle our differences and our own understanding of what the traditions are, what the rules are, what the norms are. So we should give them a chance to determine whether what was done followed those normatives or whether we had short-circuited the process. So I'm not the only one who has had these controversies.
What are these rights, if you can just summarize them for us? The rights that one has to go through before becoming king, and whether you have gone through all these rights.
Well, by definition and by our cultural dictates, you cannot make those rights public. It is therefore understandable that not everyone would appreciate the various parts of it. The rights are simply stated the choice of the person who is to be king, his anointment, and confinement. When he's confined, he's instructed, depending on his knowledge of tradition, he's instructed in various ways as to his duties as king. And he is also made aware of his responsibility as the keeper of the stools and his obligation to maintain the shrines and other vestments of royalty. Now, when he's gone through all of that, he is outdoored and shown to his people. He is taken from one royal home to another. And then he is taken to all the Golomoy houses or the fetish shrines of our state. And then, where necessary, he is, as it were, inducted into the homes. Following all of that, he is taken to Amogena, where he takes the oath of office by swearing his loyalty and his attention and ever-present response to the needs of the people he is supposed to govern. This takes place at Amogena. He swears the oath, and the people and their representative, or people and their representative chiefs, do take the oath back to him in assurance that they would also respond similarly when he calls them to service. After that, you ensure that the chief is well housed, and then in contemporary terms he is made a member of the Ghana Traditional Council, where he assumes the office of the president.
We got to know around that time that there's no rite or custom of coronation among Ghanaians. Yet you managed to go through one. I don't think you fight with stones and sticks, but you fight with a good spirit.
Oh, I do. I'm a fighter. I'm a very bashful man, but with a fighting spirit. Those who know me say I speak very little, and sometimes I even bow my head when I should raise it. But I have fire in me, I assure you. The coronation, to answer you directly, is a bit of innovation which we thought was in line with the Ghana tradition. when the Gamanche has taken his oath of office at Amogina, his ceremonies for installation ends. But in our judgment, the Ghana state has enlarged and become even more populated. And therefore, we thought it would be in line with the spirit of installation to bring the Gamanche to a greater number of his people. And how best do you do that than to organize a coronation, which is interaction between the chief and his people? And we saw that despite all the efforts which were made by distractors to stop it, by insisting that there were injunctions and